Okay, so welcome to episode number 20 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is Dr. Games 101.
Hello.
And the first thing we're going to do, basically the biggest news was the biggest thing that happened in the last couple of weeks, at least in my opinion, is the release of Resident Evil 8. Resident Evil Village.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna look now. I haven't played even the demo. Have you played the demo?
You have to have the game pre-ordered most likely in order to play the demo, especially the one from like last month or two.
I didn't hear you at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you cut out. I heard you better then. You cut out at the beginning. That's.
Oh, I was saying that like I heard that if you want to play the Resident Evil 8 demo, you have to pre-order it like 2 or 3 months ago, and they also let you play Resident Evil Reverse.
There's no standalone demo that you could just download.
There should be by about now, but back earlier this year it was exclusive to play on.
Okay, so have you ever played the Resident Evil 8 demo?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so we've never played the demo. Neither of us have the game. But we're gonna look at a review, GameSpot's review of Resident Evil Village, and see if the game's been living up to the hype.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. I gotta put display capture so people on Twitch see it. Alright, so we're gonna watch the review and then we'll talk about it at the end. Do you see the review?
Loud, very clear, crystal clear.
Alright, here it goes.
Resident Evil has continually changed and evolved as Capcom has tried different mixes of survival horror and action gameplay. With Resident Evil 7, Capcom swung for the fences with a first-person perspective and more classic, horror-focused gameplay. Its sequel, Resident Evil Village, evolves that idea to make something that feels very different from its predecessor, but which is just as engaging. Though the perspective and the mechanical underpinnings are the same, Village branches off in its own direction from RE7. Capturing some of the things that were great about that game while resisting the impulse to retread the same ground. While it's still frightening at points, it takes a less horror-driven tack on the same formula. Village continues to evolve Resident Evil while maintaining a keen grasp on some of its core tenets, finding new ways, or reviving old ones, of getting under your skin and ratcheting up the tension.
Where the hell am
I think I've seen this before, the GameSpot video.
Huh?
I think I seen this GameSpot video the other day.
Okay, yeah.
As has been pretty clear for a while now,
Yeah.
Resident Evil Village
I watched so many
Resident Evil
videos.
7 through the lens of Resident Evil 4. When the latter was released back in 2005, it totally revamped what the franchise had been up to that point, swapping the earlier game's slower survival horror focus for a more fast-paced action approach, trading darkened corridors and jump scares for adrenaline-fueled panic. Village adds to RE7 by taking its cues from the faster, panickier RE4. It's again played from a tight, closed-in, first-person perspective, and it still often focuses on slower movement and exploration. But Village's approach is distinctly more action-centric, and it's remarkable how much Capcom has managed to push the underlying formula of its reboot to the series in such a different direction. Village picks up on Resident Evil 7's story 3 years later, again focusing on protagonist Ethan Winters. After rescuing his wife Mia from the Baker house and subsequently getting saved by Resident Evil
she's all messed up.
Redfield, Ethan and Mia went into hiding with Chris's help, moving to Europe to restart their lives. They've since had a daughter,
James is like,
but
what the fuck?
ended again when Chris and his team bust into the couple's house and drag Ethan and baby Rose off. Ethan wakes up sometime later after a car crash. The two random Special Forces guys who were transporting him and Rose are dead. Ethan wanders through the snowy woods in search of his missing child until he hits a ramshackle, seemingly empty village. Before long, he discovers it's under siege. by what appeared to be werewolves. It's all extremely reminiscent of the beginning of Resident Evil 4, which upended the RE formula by dropping you into a village overrun with enemies who acted like humans rather than shambling, mindless zombies. The Lycans you face wield weapons and shoot arrows at you, and to avoid getting surrounded, you can run into houses and barricade the doors with furniture to slow their advances. Just like its 2005 inspiration, the opening battle of Village taps into a frightening intensity of trying to create a defensible position or take part in a running gunfight that you're in serious danger of losing. It's a completely different feeling from the slow burn dread of RE7, but Village's combat can make your heart pound just as hard. The fact that Village feels like such a turn away from RE7 is what works about it. As a sequel, it feels like Capcom reaching for a new way to challenge itself. Most of the time in Village, at least on its standard difficulty, you'll find yourself pretty well outfitted for whatever you're about to face. The challenge is in using those resources effectively and keeping yourself alive. Village uses the same movement system as RE7, which can feel a little slow and clunky at times. Eden isn't especially agile, and even at a sprint, it can feel like he's barely moving. Despite a sense of trudging through mud, Village is tuned so that enemies also approach slowly and cautiously, so dealing with them comes together like a standoff that has you judging their moves or hitting their weak points before they have a chance to get in close and rip into you. And sometimes you just have to run and hope you can find a better place to make your stand. While the controls add tension when you're surrounded, they can be a bit obtuse, making it difficult to avoid attacks. You're often dodging attacks as a monster charges you or swings at you with a huge weapon. You can absorb some damage with the ability to hold up your hands in a car, another RE7 feature that helps mitigate the limitations of your movement. But the better strategy is to try to run around the battlefield and get out of the way. That usually means sacrificing seeing what your opponent is doing. Since Ethan can't step sideways while looking forward, you're constantly just running and hoping whatever is coming at you doesn't hit you. It doesn't make these battles frustrating or add to their difficulty, but it does add a counterintuitiveness to combat that can take you out of the moment. Bullets are easy to come by, and if you're short, you can craft more from materials you find, or purchase them from the Duke, a traveling merchant. All that stuff you're carrying around has to go somewhere, so Village brings back the inventory management system of RE4. You have a suitcase full of weapons, ammo, and health items, with each taking up space on a grid. You can move items around to make sure they all fit in your case, Tetris style, and purchase bigger cases from the Duke so you can bring more stuff. The system is most interesting when it starts making you wonder if you should sell off old guns or toss less useful items in favor of things like extra ammo. Mercifully, crafting items don't count against your inventory space, so you're free to make bullets and health items on the fly. On standard difficulty, it was never a big concern, but you do have to start thinking about keeping space open as you explore in case you find something essential. Though Village has far more variety of enemies to fight than RE7, it's not all shooting, with a lot of varied pacing and new challenges throughout. There are 4 different areas to unlock as you progress through the story, each headed by one of the 4 lords, the scary monster people who dominate the village and the area around it. After the opening village, the first is the castle run by Lady Dimitrescu, where there's a lot less shooting to be done. You'll occasionally face enemies you have to gun down, but much more time in the castle is spent navigating its tight corridors, as you're hunted by the vampire Dimitrescu and her daughters. You can't kill the vampires with your conventional weapons, so you have to run if you're found. The entire level is spent exploring the castle, looking for the items you need to advance through the area, while listening for Dimitrescu's clomping footsteps and trying to keep away from her. Even in this first new area, Village is mixing and remixing its experience with different horror ideas. You're not just shotgunning a ton of enemies. You're also engaging in stealth, more akin to what navigating the Baker House was like in RE7. And later portions of the game throw different obstacles into your path. There are areas that are full of puzzles that are reminiscent of the mansion of Resident Evil or the police station of RE2. There are sections where you hear frightfully powerful enemies in the distance and you'll have to fight. And there are points that show Village can still hone in on some of the intense frights that made RE7 so remarkable. Suffice to say that Village is great at maintaining an atmosphere of unease as you head around each new corner. Sure, you have plenty of weapons, but can you handle what you're about to face? Will they even work against the next creature you encounter? There's an excellent balance between providing lots of action and maintaining that dread. Village encourages its own kind of fear, and it hits you with a few great RE7-like set pieces to ratchet up the tension when you least expect it. No two sections of Village are quite the same. Each draws on different aspects of past Resident Evil games and combines them with that underlying RE7 feel to create something that's both new and nostalgic. It's impressive how the game can change to be a little different again and again throughout its runtime, mixing in other ideas from the franchise to make each section fun, intense, and, naturally, frightening in its own way. The exception to that is the last hour of the game, where things take a weird, over-the-top turn. In the run-up to Village's final moments, the action gets turned up even higher. It seems like a needless digression, where Village draws on the worst action-heavy portions of Resident Evil 6, losing track of what made you grit your teeth and clench your fists, and exchanging it for something more akin to shooters like Call of Duty. This same moment highlights some of the inconsistency in Village's story. Though the game's imagery recalls the Umbrella logo from past games, Village's connection to the rest of the franchise feels a bit tacked on. The same is true of Chris Redfield, whose presence in the story feels like an afterthought. Ethan's interactions with the Four Lords and the mystery of the village is more fun and interesting, since the antagonists come off as petty, flawed, and human. They don't particularly like each other, but are all eager to torture and maim you anyway, and their interactions with Ethan and each other add dimension to their characters.
Lycans and gentlemen, we thank you for waiting. And now let the games begin!
Village is a spooky romp with fun villains, but it's just a shame that more time wasn't devoted to the hanging story threads of RE7 or the franchise at large. Thankfully, that digression doesn't last long. Meanwhile, the elements about combat that are fun are transplanted into the fast-paced arcade mode, the Mercenaries. The mode takes the combat of the village, slaps a timer on it, and focuses it on scoring points. The Mercenaries is a fun side activity in its own right, always daring you to get a higher score by balancing taking down as many enemies as you can and trying to complete one of its given levels as fast as you can. It demonstrates how tight the combat in Village can be, although at times it can be held back a bit by the slow underwater feeling of movement around the battlefield. Resident Evil 7 was an excellent return to the horror roots of the franchise with some cunning new ideas. Similarly, Village is an intelligent reimagination of the best action elements of Resident Evil. Though it captures some of the same things that made RE7 such a breath of fresh air, Village uses new takes on the ideas of the past to evolve into its own unique creature.
Interesting. I watched this before many days ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I did, so.
Well, it's only been up 3 days, so.
Yes. So I must have watched it on the first day, most likely.
Oh, okay. I usually don't really watch reviews unless it's a game that I've been like if it's a game I'm gonna pick up on release day. I really don't pay attention to reviews otherwise.
Yeah, because it might have those DLC microtransactions in them.
Not even that. It's
later on.
Hold on, my OBS is okay. Okay, now OBS was blinking yellow and red, meaning I was transmitting online. But it's back to green now.
Yes.
Anyway, not the fact that there's like microtransactions or anything. It's just like I said, I don't buy games brand new anymore. So by the time that I buy a game, I'm gonna hear about it anyway.
Right.
So that's. But speaking of which, what did you think of the Resident Evil 8? Do you plan on? I mean, are you looking forward to getting it more? Did this review turn you off?
Well, when I watched it the first time back 2 or 3 days ago when it was released on GameSpot's YouTube channel, I wanted to buy it, but I wanted to first play Resident Evil 7 first to understand more of the story. And then, of course, by Resident Evil 8, I'll definitely want to understand why Chris Redfield, of all people, is involved with Resident Evil 8. Oh, sure, he is the main protagonist in the Resident Evil series, yes. but he's the. What happened? What?
An argument could be made for that. I mean,
well, he is. He's the main protagonist in the Resident Evil series.
Not really, because I mean, Jill was also a protagonist, and then Resident Evil 2 was Leon and Claire. I mean, let's look at the numbered Resident Evils. 1 was Chris and Jill.
Mm-hmm.
2 was Leon and Claire.
Mm-hmm.
3 was just Jill.
Mm-hmm.
4 was just Leon.
Mm-hmm.
5 was Chris and Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
6 was everybody.
Almost, as other than Shiva.
And then 7 and 8 is this new guy, Ethan, who 7 was searching for his girlfriend or wife, and then gets kidnapped in 8. So,
we're talking about like the story sequence.
You could make a case for Leon also.
Well, you have to understand also too, James, is that you have to understand Chris Redfield. He may not be the center or the heart of the matter, but he's been around since the very beginning. He's been around for 25 years. So whatever happened with the franchise over the last 25 years, he still stayed there through and through. And Chris's presence in Resident Evil 8 kind of made me feel a little bit weary. Like he's the antagonist now instead of the protagonist. Like he's the bad guy now because he's actually carrying Ethan's child. He's shooting people and he has alliances with these commandos and shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in Resident Evil 8? So why not just first play Resident Evil 7 and then I'll see about Resident Evil 8 and take it from there. No, there's no rush.
Go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I said there's no rush, so go on.
Alright, well, I definitely suggest that if you're going to play 8, you should definitely play 7 so you get used to the first-person perspective. I agree with that. But as far as I know, Chris didn't play a part in 7, so you're not going to find anything more about Chris's story.
Of course not. Of course not.
But eventually, in 7.
But eventually, whatever happened in 7 leads up to 8, and I'm sure they'll find a way to connect the dots between Chris and Umbrella and the child and stuff like that. Because it's kind of weird because you expect Chris to work for the BSAA still, and all of a sudden now he's just this independent rogue agent of sorts acting on, like a rebel of sorts. It's kind of weird. I can't explain it, but Chris has changed. Something that I wasn't expected of from him.
Right. Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I think didn't they say Chris helped Ethan and Mia move to Europe?
I believe so. Yes, that's in Resident Evil 8 at the beginning.
Yeah, so that's probably how Chris gets involved. Like I said, I don't know. I'd never heard of him appearing in 7.
Of course not. I'm just saying the fact that somehow, someway they're gonna wrap it up. I'm not sure when they're gonna wrap it up, obviously, but it's gonna be sometime between Resident Evil 9, 10, 11, if there's such thing as 10 at least, But somewhere around there, they're going to have to wrap it up where it's like, okay, why is Chris with Ethan and his wife? And what happened to Jill? What happened to Sheva? What happened to Leon and Claire? So they got to find some way to put these pieces together and make sure that, we're not going to see in Resident Evil 8, obviously. But, eventually we'll see more as time goes along. So I got all the time in the world. I got nothing to do. So,
are you looking forward to Resident Evil 8?
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. I mean, I'm not super excited like I was with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when we saw the other month. But it's still like, I got to know the story, see what's going on. Why is Chris involved with the matter? Really involved, and why is Chris is making Ethan like the maid? What were these people on these game journalists are saying that Ethan is the maid in this shit? I'm like, what? He's a guy. He's not no girl. Like, all this gender bender bullshit. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I want to see for myself the gameplay and also the game itself of Resident Evil 8.
Hold on, I gotta look that up because isn't there something called an Iron Maiden, which is
the maiden pretty much it's short because the maiden means female.
I
was just a band.
Yeah, that's what is the Iron Maiden? Let's see if that comes up. It's a
like
torture device consisting of a solid iron cabinet with a hinged front and spike-covered interior, sufficiently tall to enclose a human being.
Mm-hmm.
That's also an Iron Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's probably got something to do with their like it looks like you're like in a European village.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a United States one, so that's probably got something to do with it.
Of course.
Also,
of course, it's just like in Resident Evil 4, Leon being in Europe, somewhere in Europe, and then Resident Evil 5 was in Africa, and Resident Evil 6 is all over the world, like China, and so they try to bring the people into more in a fluent world that they're trying to explore. So that's what's going on for the last several Resident Evils now. So in my perspective, that is.
Well, Resident Evil 7, also, you really didn't know where you were. You were just in some house.
In Louisiana.
Some house, in some backwoods, spread out environment.
Mm-hmm.
But, so Resident Evil 8, I'm not super hyped about Resident Evil 8 myself. I'd definitely be willing to try it, but it's definitely going to be when the game goes down in price, and it's not going to be till after I finish 7. So, like Resident Evil 8, like you, I'm not super hyped like I am with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, I think it's called.
Yeah. That I will definitely buy the day of if I have the money.
I'm not as hyped like I am for that game.
No, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But I'm definitely interested in trying this game out. And the whole reason I want to talk about Resident Evil 8 is people have wasted no time in modding this game. And some of the what they did is they took out that woman in white, Demetrius or whatever her name is.
Demetestru or something like that.
And they were modding, and they were replacing her with other things. I saw on pictures people replaced her with Thomas the Tank.
Yeah.
People replaced her with Barney the dinosaur.
Barney the dinosaur. I see that one. Well, I saw a picture of it though.
I only saw pictures of these as well. So you see like Barney in this like one-down castle. It's like
you can't take the enemy seriously if he looks like Barney.
Well, I'm sure that's not what the developers originally were going for.
Of course. It's the modders. Yeah, thank the modders for the matter.
It's the modders' sense of humor. So, but I mean that actually, that the only problem with Barney the dinosaur being in place of that woman is I would actually try to shoot him and try to kill him. Mm-hmm. Even if Barney is unbeatable because he's just a reskin of the enemy that you're supposed to avoid. I'd probably run up at it guns blazing.
Yeah, well,
if it was Barney.
Lady Demetrius, she was pretty much like Mr. X, but bigger and taller. So
taller. Yeah. And I heard but Mr. X, weren't you able to subdue him in Resident Evil 2?
Yeah, to shoot him in the head in order to take him down.
Yeah, it looks like that's not going to work in Resident Evil Village.
Mm-hmm. Can't even shoot her in the head. Can't even shoot her in the cleavage, And that's the perfect spot right there,
She wasn't showing much cleavage from what I saw.
Oh, she did. Trust me, she did.
It looked like her dress the neckline of her dress was pretty high.
Really?
Or maybe that's just because she was so tall.
Well, obviously, her dress is very long and tall, obviously, but her cleavage, her midriff or a low cut dress, the upper portion of her dress is low cut, so she shows off a lot of cleavage. Not too much, but just enough.
If I look at Resident Evil 8 footage, I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that.
Well, hey, that's what people wanted. The Dimitrescu naked and undressed and shit like that. I was like, God damn, you guys are desperate.
That's the best way to say it.
Because Chris Ray Gun,
with the exception of Mia, I don't think anyone wanted any of the women in Resident Evil 7 naked.
Because what's his name? Chris Ray Gun, a YouTuber of over almost 1 million subscribers, I believe. He's been around talking about Resident Evil 8 many weeks, if not months ago, about the matter with Lady Dimitrescu, whatever her name was. So.
Okay.
Yeah, check him out, guys. He's pretty good.
All right. The next topic: GameStop might be getting out of the retro market.
That's stupid on their part. However,
do you remember when they first got into the retro market again?
Well, before they were named GameStop, they were called FuncoLand. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying when they started selling retro games like 5 years ago.
Well, at one point they stopped selling retro games like Super Nintendo, Genesis. Yes.
And then they started selling retro games again, and they started screwing up. People were getting reproductions. People were getting fake games.
Really?
Yeah. And now it looks like GameStop is basic. And now, like if you go to the retro section of GameStop's website, none of their prices have been updated. All these prices are like pre-pandemic, and like nothing is available. Anything you try to click on will be out of stock. And it's just like, you spend all this money. I don't even think GameStop is accepting retro games anymore. I heard some stores were giving up on taking on trade-ins for retro stuff.
Yeah, it's not the same like it once was 10 years ago, because back 10 years ago, the agent of the video games of the Super Nintendo, Genesis, and others, they were pretty much, they aged well, yes, but you can still play them. But then, for the last 5 years, we hear of disc rot, cartridge rot, circuitries are dead, or the batteries that inside the Nintendo cartridge, that type of stuff. So basically, over the years since 2015, people are duplicating the copies and trying to sell it to GameStop or whatever through emulation, etc., etc. So that's why we can't trust regular people or regular sellers or buyers of these games because of these matters in hand. So.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, people were getting someone. Like what happened, I remember, like when GameStop first started accepting retro games again. This was like when I started selling retro games. Someone purchased Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they got like a red Nintendo 64 card. Mm-hmm. The only two red Nintendo 64 games to have a red cartridge was either Jeremy McGrath's Supercross 2000 or All-Star Baseball.
Really?
Conker's Bad Fur Day never had a red card. It had a gray card.
But it had to label it though.
That was the big problem with GameStop. That was the big problem with GameStop getting back into the retro market, because they seemed to have no idea what they were looking for. Like when they took in these retro games.
Right. But we have to understand too. It's been how many years ago people started to edit, manipulate, mod, emulate, because people want to make money off of not making fun of GameStop, but to make money off of GameStop's thievery, if you want to call it like that. Try to turn the tables in my perspective when I'm trying to analyze the situation of, because I wouldn't mind doing the same thing too to screw GameStop what they screwed to me in the past. because I haven't told this to you guys. I pretty much got screwed by GameStop of buying a subscription magazine, right, for myself, and I was about to give the card that I gave to my friend days ago for his birthday to give to sell to the buyer, to the GameStop worker. The GameStop worker took it from me while I was distracted by other means. So it's like I was wondering to myself what happened to the card that I had, and all of a sudden I got screwed over $20 that I gave to my friend who he got his copy, yes, of his game he wanted to buy, but I never got my subscription magazine, and I had to reinitiate the subscription magazine later on that year.
Really?
Yeah. It's Kevin. It was Kevin.
Are you talking about the Game Informer subscription?
Yeah, with Kevin, back in 2008.
Oh,
Yes, sorry, I had to mention him, but yeah, he was one of those guys. But he gave it to me, and then it was left on the counter, right? So I figured, okay, right. He took the buyer, the GameStop worker took it himself. I'm like, okay, no big deal. He'll charge it on my bill, but he never did. He just took the card and just I didn't realize that until it was too late. It's like we got back at his house, and I told him, what happened to the $20 I gave you for your gift card? It was a gift card of $20 I gave him for his birthday, but oh well. Yeah,
so
don't get screwed by GameStop anymore, guys. Just let them be, and if you have to buy something from them, make sure it's legitimate. But at this rate, with these cartridges being all modded and manipulated and stuff, it's hard to find original retro copies of games. So that those days are over with. You have to buy it online somehow, some way. Because GameStop, yes, still have it in person, most likely, if you know which one you want to get, and if you can recognize which one it is. But if you buy online through GameStops by themselves, then you're taking a risk. So.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't bought anything retro from GameStop. Actually, I don't think I've ever bought anything retro from GameStop ever.
Oh. I got my Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I got my Zombies Ate My Neighbors game from GameStop back in 2008.
So GameStop's getting out of the retro market, and it looks like it was something that they were totally unprepared for when they first went into the retro market.
Yeah.
And it looks, and I have to say, I don't, I just think they were getting too many games that were fakes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had stories of friends that would you would trade in current stuff, and GameStop wouldn't be that thorough. Because one thing GameStop said is when they were taking in older systems like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, they said all these games and consoles were going to a third party where they were going to be inspected, tested, made sure they worked, and then put up on the website. It turns out these consoles were not tested, these games were not tested, they were just put up on the website,
mm-hmm.
right away. So, and just a lot of people got screwed. I mean, Pat the NES Punk, if you want, I can play a clip from the CU podcast. They talked about people getting screwed. From people who bought from GameStop's retro section when they first opened it 5-6 years ago.
I see.
And you know what? It was a big dumpster fire, and I honestly forgot that they even sold retro games because that hasn't been part of the conversation for so long. And it turns out that they had stopped.
I see.
So yeah, it looks like GameStop's not selling retro games anymore. I still am though. For anyone that's interested. Next, we get to make fun of Google Stadia. The vice president and the head of product of Stadia have left Google. Now it sounds like Stadia executives are basically jumping off the Titanic.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
is that all you have to say about, like, I mean, vice president and the head of product development or whatever it is now leaving Google?
He can't take the crap anymore because the head of the executives of Google were like, they were too strict and uncreative with their work over the years.
Yeah, so I mean, Google Stadia, it was basically, it wasn't so bad. It's just they were too expensive, and what they were offering wasn't really accessible for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5, 10 years ago, something like Stadia could work. You just need a bigger consumer base, and second, you can't charge people a monthly fee and then $60 for every single game on top of that monthly fee. It's got to be one or the other.
Unless if you want to break the future right now, because I guarantee you that Stadia has a weird idea to do that at first, because today's generation are not into that bullshit. Excuse my language, but give it like another 20, 40 years from now, like bring back that style of payment, people will eat it up.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's going to take 20, 40 years. I think it could definitely work in something like 5 years. What I'm saying is, people, like, say you wanted to play Borderlands 3 on Stadia. You had to pay $60 to buy Borderlands 3. Then you had to pay their monthly fee, which was $15, $20 on top of it. So that's $80. Not to mention Stadia itself, because you needed like that Chromecast thing to plug into your TV.
Mm-hmm.
That was over $100. So it's like to buy one game, you're nearly at $200.
Oh yeah.
And then every game after that was another $60 on top of whatever that monthly fee was. And it's just like if you get they should just go with the monthly fee like Xbox did with Game Pass, because because you're playing these games digitally. Once they're taken off the network, you're not going to be able to play them. So it's not like these people are owning anything. So they should have just forgone the $60 price point and said, listen, you want to play these games? We got these 20 games. More will be coming. And all you have to do is pay for Stadia itself and pay your monthly fee. But you're not going to get people to buy games unless like the economy is booming, which is not going to be anytime soon.
That's trying to say 20 to 40 years from now.
Huh?
That's what I'm trying to say 20 to 40 years from now.
Yeah, but the thing is, 20, 40 years now, the economy could even be worse for all we know.
It's a word witness worth taking.
What I'm saying is, the only point, that's why, for the monthly fee, yeah, you get to play these games, and you're paying the monthly fee, you're paying for a service. You're not paying, the $60 on top of that monthly fee. Or let's go the other way. Let's say you forget the monthly fee and people just have to pay $60. But the thing is, if you do that, people are just going to go, okay, I can buy it for $60 on Stadia or $30 for Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just pay $30 to play on, something else?
Yeah.
And if you're going to offer older games that have already been out, that's where the monthly fee makes sense. But Google Stadia, it just seemed mismanaged. It just seemed like they were throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something would stick.
They had a good idea to put it out there, but it was the bad timing for the pricing, for the quality of the system, the connection, quality, style, their niche in the gaming industry is there, but it was wrong timing. Given another 20 years from now, at least 10 years, they'll survive and thrive after the 10-year mark, and that's when they can just eat up. The customers will eat up the $15 a month or the $60 per game, $15 a month special, what you want to call it, because people like to. I'm not trying to blame people because we're talking to our audience, of course, but our like the majority of the public, especially here in the United States, we're not that privy to deciding on what's the best quality for us after a while. It's all about the here and now.
Right, but it's also about but it's also but the thing is when you got something like Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, it should have been what Stadia includes with Xbox Games Pass service.
Yeah.
That I think if they had done that now, or done that when Stadia first came out, Stadia would have been a success. But then again, look who owns Stadia. It's Google.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried double dipping with their customers, and I think customers just saw that over time it would be too expensive than to play on, and they might as well stick to traditional consoles.
Yeah.
All right. There was also something else about Stadia. Let's see. Google Stadia adds search bar 17 months after launch.
That is so lazy of them.
Basically, Stadia, you can search. I guess you can search the internet in addition to playing games, but they didn't even have a search bar.
That is so lazy of them.
Yeah. Could you imagine if anybody else had been dumb enough to forget to add a search bar?
Well, they're thinking that, in my perspective, I believe that whoever's in charge of this the department and making this happening, they're thinking that, it's no big deal because people already have smartphones and Xboxes. All you gotta do is go on their smartphones and consoles and search for via Google.com, and that's it. That's what they're thinking of.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want people to use your device, they shouldn't have to use someone else's device. They shouldn't have to use someone else's device to activate the service on your device.
I wouldn't say activate, but I'm saying if you want to use the search bar or the search engine of Google, you can go onto your own smartphone and search it there. That's how lazy they thought they'd get away with it.
Yeah. So basically, Stadia. It seems like with the people wanting it and the way they think, Stadia was doomed to fail from the beginning.
Tell me about it.
Okay, next. Sony PlayStation 5 could be getting a redesign in 2022. Did you hear about this?
Not the exact words. I heard they're gonna, that redesign, they're gonna to recreate for the bottom up of a PS5 because of the shortage of PS5s for the pandemic and all, and also the scalpers. So it's a good timing to do it, but at the same time it's like a year from now, so it's gonna be a long wait for it to get our hands on the PS5, at least that.
Well, I don't think that they're. I think what you said was right. It's because of the pandemic and because supplies aren't.
The scalpers.
Supplies aren't available as they normally would be.
Because of scalpers.
Not just because of scalpers, but I'm talking about from a manufacturing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they're getting the redesign. It just seems, but again, it just seems like haphazard console building, I mean, these things came out when 2021, the beginning, or the end of 2020, and now you already need a redesign?
Well, it's kind of like the PS4 Pro. It came out like 2-3 years after the virtual PS4 came out. So
yeah,
I can understand that.
But the thing is, that was 2 to 3 full years afterwards, and Sony and Microsoft had a different frame of mind back then. When Sony and Microsoft did the Series S, and not the Series X, the Xbox One S, and the PlayStation 4 Pro, they were basically saying they said that they were just going to keep upgrading their newer consoles every 2 to 3 years, like someone would upgrade a computer.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't good. They weren't in the business of selling consoles anymore. They were in the business of selling upgraded consoles. They were in the business of like, hey, we got something slightly upgraded. Now you can buy it for $500. And the thing is, the upgrades were going to be so basic that if you already had the base system, it wasn't going to be that much of an upgrade.
I see.
Now I think with the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, when you compare those two, like if you care really about graphics, yeah, you would want to get the Xbox One X instead of the base model. But at the same time, they would gonna treat the consoles like computers, and I just don't think console gamers were willing to spend that kind of money on consoles like that.
The older gamers like you and I, over 30 to 25 years old, yes, we want our regular consoles back. We want our regular, simplicity of utilizing the consoles. But anyone under 25, they're like, oh, it's no big deal. I can upgrade every couple of years. I can synthesize, or I can break down and tear apart the console and put it back together with new upgrades, like the computer, which is kind of strange. I try to tell guys like enjoy gaming, as I say before to him, not everyone knows how to put a computer together with ease. So
right, me, I could never do it.
Oh well, it's possible I can do it too, but you have to have a lot of practice with the matter, and not everyone has that money, time, and affordability. So,
right, but I'm just saying I'd have difficulty doing it. Even if I knew how to do it, I'd have difficulty executing it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's why I'm saying I would have trouble doing it. But on top of not even knowing how. But the thing is, yeah. So I mean, that's what Microsoft and Sony were thinking. Like in when did these consoles come out? Like 2016?
November 2020 for the PS4, PS5, and Xbox One.
What year did the base PS4 and base Xbox One come out?
They came out the same year, 2013.
No, it had to be 2014.
No, it's 2013. I was working at the movie theaters when they were promoting this stuff through their snack bar. Like if you actually whatever they do at the snack bar, they'll say that, oh, buy this snack for for $20 or more, and you'll get like a free system with a console, something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but we had a special going on during that time when I was working as a snack bar counter person for a movie theater. This is for the Valley Stream. The Valley Stream Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked there for a few weeks, if not a couple of weeks actually.
Oh, I wish the Xbox One was released 2013, the successor of the 360.
Yep.
Did the PlayStation 4 come out the same year?
Yep. A week later, if not a couple weeks later. November, same month, November, if not October.
Yeah, like a couple of weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later.
At the most.
Oh, man, that sucks, because the thing is, I was laid off from my job in 2014, and that's the reason. Okay, now I know what I was confused. It did come out in 2013, but like when the consoles first come out, they're like $500, give or take.
I wish I could afford it myself.
Like a year, but a year later in 2014, that's why I got laid off from my job in Rockville Center.
Yeah.
And,
I wish I could afford it, but I didn't have the money for it until my mom bought me one.
I didn't have the money for it. I barely had the money for games already.
Yes.
I ended up getting the Xbox One, I think it was 2015. Yeah, 2015 as a Christmas gift. Wow. So I think that's why, because in 2014 when I was laid off, money wasn't coming in as much as it used to. It never came in as much as it did back then. But like I've talked about that previous job before, there were times where I was welcoming death if you wanted to show up. and I'm not being hyperbolic or exaggerating anything. Like there was times when I was working that job, and I was thinking to myself, if death shows up tonight while I sleep, I'll be happy.
Oh God, James, don't be that way. Back then, especially.
That's how much I hated this. But see, that's the thing. That's how much I hated the job. It was that job that was doing it to me. I was completely miserable when I had to go to work. The only days I was happy was the days I was off. And I remember like the first time I had a gas bubble in my chest. When gas is in your stomach, you get that bloated feeling.
Yeah.
Well, instead of that pressure being in my stomach, it was in my chest. It felt like I was having a heart attack. And I'm thinking to myself, this job did it. It finally killed me.
maybe give you a minor heart attack, but that's about it. You survived.
And then I let out. I think like when I went to the bathroom, I farted, and I was like, oh, so much better. But that's what I was thinking. Like the first time I had gas trapped in my chest at that job, and that's the first time it happened at that job. I'm thinking this job killed me. This job did it.
We all have our bad experiences at certain jobs, James. You're not the only one, so don't feel like you're the only one going through something like that at any given job.
But the thing is, that never happened at any of the other jobs I worked. No matter how bad or how good they were, that never happened any other job. That didn't happen at Sloman's. That didn't happen at the chimney company I worked. It only happened at that job. But, so I just, but then again, things going on at that job, even though I stayed there 4.5 years just to get laid off, it was just a really miserable time.
I understand, James.
Okay, so we're actually almost done. We only got a couple more things. Sony is the only developer that charges extra for crossplay.
Yeah, I heard about that through Review Tech USA the other day. They're saying that they're willing to do crossplay with Xbox and Nintendo even, but problem though is that they're not making no money off of it. See, I knew that there was something's going to happen. I didn't know exactly what it was and when it will happen, and this is one of them. So I'm thinking to myself that Sony better break off this crossplay before it's too late. Otherwise, they're going to lose lots of money in the progress. So, and I'm not sure about Microsoft themselves, but they're not losing no money.
Hold on. My streaming program's having trouble.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just like everything you said. Basically, it didn't catch. I'm just waiting for it to go back to green. Then
they're the one that wants to tell the truth out there.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the NSA that tried to take over our computers, and we're like, you can't tell the truth anymore, James and Charles. We are what we are. You can't hurt us. We will destroy you. And I mean, like, the way you sound, I don't think I can't take you seriously, bro. Fuck you, NSA. Because you know how NSA are, like, they're the geeks of the United States government, spying on people and stuff. So, with their Cheetos and their USB hard drives, stuff like that, their Mountain Dews, their Doritos, fucking geeky ladies with flat chested and all.
All right. This thing is just it's going in and out. So basically, I think we should just continue the conversations.
Yeah, I got recorded. I got to record anyway, so we're still recording.
Yeah, I'll have to use your recording tonight. But
yeah, give me a few hours and I'll put up there on YouTube.
Okay, so I'll just have to use your recording for Patreon. So what were we talking? Oh, crossplay.
Yeah, like I was saying, not Google, Sony PlayStation, they're losing money from doing this crossplay. And I knew it was going to happen, that something's got to give, because you cannot have all three consoles supposed to be competing with one another have the same services, because someone's going to lose money in the progress, and it's going to be someone's head and rolling down the mountain, you know?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I'm surprised. Why do you think Sony is so anti-crossplay?
It's about money making. It's all about the servers. It's about conserving services for the sake of making more money. Now, I'm not sure with Microsoft Xbox division, but with Sony PlayStation, they've been hurting for the past 5 years now because of their horrible decisions made for the PS4. Now, after the PS4 was over with, the cycle itself, it's gotten better over the years, or the months, I should say, excuse me, and now things are getting better. But the shortage of PS5, the crossplay now is starting to affect the lacking of the usage of crossplay. So basically, let's say, for example, your crossplay is available for 20,000 players, but you only got 10,000 players. So that extra 10,000 players, you use that, take that out of the equation, or out of the server bandwidth, and utilize it for the company itself, of the money saved for those servers. So this is my analysis of the situation. I think that's what's going on with Sony. So thank goodness that you mentioned this to me just 5 minutes ago about the matter, and that's what I think was going on with Sony.
Okay, so it just seems like back to when I showed the video about Sony when they first showed the PS4 after Microsoft showed first look at the Xbox One. Sony went from like pro-consumer to anti-consumer, it seems.
Something like that, because of the fact that they were getting rid of the PS3, the PS2. Well, I don't remember PS2, but the PS3, the PSP Vita, all those systems of their online services through their consoles and devices. So that's why it's a big backlash of what they were doing with these servers, with the crossplay as well. They're spending all this money trying to save money, but they can't save the money because they already spent it. It's kind of weird. I can't explain what they're trying to do, but they're trying to do a hit and miss. They're trying to say, like, oh, if we get rid of the PSP, the PS Vita, the PS3 online services, we can save a bunch of money. But then they're going to put that money towards the crossplay, lacking players in that crossplay for the last several months due to the scalp on the PS5. So it's kind of like what to do with the matter. So they're playing hit and miss. They're playing give and take. So they can't get away with the situation.
Okay. Yeah. So that's all I have to say. Basically, is that Sony just seems like they went from the pro-consumer console to the anti-consumer console, and basically all because of greed.
It's all about the give and take of greed. It's like they want to save money, but they got to spend the money for the crossplay, knowing that they're not making no money off of crossplay, and so they should have rather just kept the old shit on, which is the PSP, PS Vita, and the PS3. So, but if they're reversing the decision of the matter, so they wasted more money. So it's kind of like what to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's basically that. And the last thing we have tonight. Wow, we've only gone an hour. The Evercade Verse console. Have you heard about Evercade?
Never heard of it. What is that?
Basically, it's they already released a portable console, and basically what they do is it's a cartridge-based console where all the games are like collections of other games, and now they're making a whole console version of it, which are going to take those cartridges.
Okay.
I have the list right here. I have the list of the cartridges that they already have. There's 22 cartridges. I think a couple, due to licensing issues, won't work on the home console like day one. But I think like as they make more cartridges and as the home console grows, they're hoping to get the cartridges that can't work due to licensing issues yet to work eventually. This is basically all their. I'm gonna go through all the games they have, the 22 cartridges.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go through like the notable games that I know of. On each cartridge, like just name off 2 or 3 that I recognize if I recognize that many. They have Atari Collection 1, which has games like Asteroids, Food Fight, Tempest, all from most of the Atari 2600 games. A few of these are 7800 games.
Okay.
Namco Museum Collection 1 has games like Dig Dug, Pac-Man, Xevious.
Mappy.
Yep. Data East Collection 1 has games like Bad Dudes, Burger Time, Fighter's History, which just seemed like a generic fighting game when I played it on Super Nintendo. Interplay Collection 1 has games like Battle Chess, Earthworm Jim, Clay Fighter. Atari Collection 2 has, again, Asteroids, but I think the first one was the 2600 version. This is the 7800 version. Centipede, Haunted House.
Haunted House? That's old.
Yeah. Haunted House for, 2600, yeah, on Atari Collection 2.
If I recall correctly, that specific game, it's called like House something. If it's the right one, I remember correctly, that was from the 1970s, the late 1970s, early 80s.
No, games were not from. Haunted House was based. I never actually played it. I've only known what I've seen from the Angry Video Game Nerds videos, and like he did these videos on these games years ago. So,
if it's the right game I saw gameplay of, this house game pretty much goes back for the old before Apple II, way before Apple II computers. So.
Okay, I don't think so because again, these are Atari games that I'm talking about.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about home consoles, the PC console, PC systems.
Well, PC was kind of like actually PC did coexist with Atari, so.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. Yeah.
All right, but anyway, like if I was to get this console, I would get the Namco Museum Collection 2 cartridge. That has Galaga, Pack Attack. It's got Splatterhouse 2 and 3 for the Sega Genesis on it.
Okay.
So like, that's probably the one game I'd be interested in the most. Interplay Collection 2 has Earthworm Jim 2, Clay Fighter 2. Those are the only ones I recognized. Mega Cat Studios Collection 1. I don't recognize any of the games on that one. Pico Interactive Collection 1. They have 8 Eyes, which I played on Nintendo. Power Punch 2. Oh, and that one and this one I would also be interested in. Technos Collection 1 has Double Dragon 1 and 2. River City Ransom. Super Dodgeball. Xeno Crisis and Tanglewood has
River City Ransom. Holy shit!
What?
You said River City Ransom. They actually came out with a female version of it last year or two.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Double Dragon 1 and 2, River City Ransom, and Super Dodgeball all in the same cartridge.
That's fucking crazy.
Xeno Crisis and Tanglewood has their own cartridge just for those 2 games. The Oliver Twins Collection, that's like Go Dizzy Go, Dizzy the Adventurer, which are awful games. Basically all the Disney games. Atari Lynx Collection 1. Don't recognize any of the games on that one. Atari Lynx Collection 2. They have games like California games. And like something like Checkered Flag, Electro Comp, which the only one I really recognize is California games, and that I recognize that as a bad game. Jaleco Collection 1 has Bases Loaded, Astyanax, which I heard Astyanax, or I can't even say it. ASTYANAX. I actually have that for Nintendo, and I've never played it, but I've heard like it's a good game. Pico Interactive Collection 2, which has like a bunch of sports games. Indie Heroes Collection 1, which I don't recognize any of these. They have Worms Collection 1, which is Worms Armageddon, and Worms Blast. Codemasters Collection 1, which I don't recognize any of these games. Mega Cat Studios Collection 2, don't recognize any of them. Intellivision Collection 1, well, everyone knows Pinball, that's the only one that I recognize. And the last one, the Bitmap Brothers Collection 1, which I don't recognize any of the games on that cartridge. So basically, this console is supposed to be like $100. I don't know how much each cartridge is, but like you get these cartridges, the controls are kind of like a Super Nintendo controller.
Okay.
And
and it's called Evercade.
Or would you still, would the fact that it's all retro games turn you off?
Well, before we continue though, it's called Evercade, right?
Yeah.
That's the name of the console. Wait, what's the console again? Evercade, right?
Evercade Verse.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm willing to buy it for a good $100 for everything.
I heard that was the price point, and like if I was to get that console, I'd probably get like a couple of the cartridges, like the one that had like
Pac-Man,
the Double Dragon games, the ones that had the Splatterhouse games on it,
Pac-Man and River City, Ransom and shit like that, Double Dragon.
Yeah, but granted there would be like the Nintendo versions and the Sega Genesis versions, but but I'm saying at the same time they already have a portable console where you can play these cartridges.
Yeah.
Thing is, I'm not out of the house as much as I used to be.
Obviously because of COVID-19.
So the portable console really wouldn't do anything. But like, if I had the money, $100, and then whatever these cartridges cost, I would get a couple of them and be happy with it. I mean, would it be something that I played for hours a day? Probably not. But like, if I just had like 20 minutes to kill, I could see myself, turning on Splatterhouse 2 or 3 or something.
Or for a sake of collection later in the future when you get old and you want to resell for a couple of $1,000s, you never know.
Well, the thing is, the system could flop and it could be not worth anything.
Or you just keep it for your own collector's sake.
I'm not saying that's what I want to happen. I'm just saying, what you always look at it could be worth more money then. I'm saying, yeah, it could also be worth less money then.
Got a good point. Or you just collect it for the sake of your own collection, for your family, or for your generation or bloodline, we want to call it. So, pass it on to your son, and grandson, and great-grandson,
Well, I don't see myself as the type to have kids, but...
one day I'll have kids, hopefully. Keep my eyes on that.
That's something I really don't care about. I guess I'm a little selfish like that because, I'm more interested in me, what I want to do.
Yeah, but how the human race going to survive, James? How the human race going to survive without any allegiance or allegiancy with others,
Well, I'm just saying, don't get me wrong. Say I was with a woman and uh, and we had a kid. She wanted the kid, and I would still be there. I'd still be the best I could be as a father. But at the same time, that's not what I would choose.
That's not just shtick.
It's like if I created a kid, yeah, I would do my best to be the best father I could be. But that's not what I'm aiming for.
Of course, you're not there for the legacy matters. You're just there for at the moment. I understand.
Yeah. So. But then again, who knows? Maybe a few years later, I meet I meet a woman who has a small kid, and I really want to be with her, and say the biological father's out of the picture for whatever reason. Maybe my feelings would change.
Or you can find a decent single woman altogether in her late 20s, early 30s, give or take. You never know.
Well, maybe. Well, I'm in my mid-30s now, so maybe late 30s, early 40s.
I don't know about that. That's a little too much right there. I've met a couple of late 30s and 40s, and they still act like they're still in high school.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It might have been just those women that were immature.
Yeah, I mean, she works. Don't get me wrong. This one lady says, "So this is the nice time to talk about this matter."
Yeah.
Says the Mother's Day and all with relationships and stuff like that, how to interact with the female. But this one lady, I don't know, I forgot her name already, but she and I were supposed to actually have a dating relationship, but she was so picky and very selective. Like at first when she saw me on the pictures on the phone and stuff, she thought that I was some sort of not hot guy, but a guy to be with, whatever. But she never thought that it has to work between us. So she was looking for this instant gratification where it's like, if I'm not into you, I'm not going to be with you, and vice versa, whatever the situation was. But I was willing to give her a chance, even though she's not my type either. As far as she's not that all hot herself. She's actually almost opposite. If she has a good personality, I want to be with her, but she's not all that good looking. You know what I'm saying? So she has to understand that her value in the sexual marketplace, or at least in the dating marketplace, is very low for her. And for me personally, I have potential. If I really want to, I can lose 50 pounds right now in 6 months or less. Going to the gym, gaining muscle. I did it before 5 years ago. I wasn't as. Yeah.
That's a pretty hard goal. 50 pounds in 6 months.
I did it before. I did it. I'll do it again if I have to.
I never did that. I mean, my biggest accomplishment was 35 pounds in 3 months or something.
That's 10 pounds a month. That's not that bad.
35 pounds in a month or a year, I forget which. I don't think it was a year. I just remember a really bad summer where I couldn't have all the French fries I wanted. I don't remember that happening year round, so I think it was
I still have my burger. I still have my burger and fries. I just don't. I have to keep going to the gym constantly. That's all. That's my only problem right now for the last year was the inactivity. And if I had the opportunity, and before COVID-19, before I was sick last year during COVID, I would actually go to the gym still every twice a week, 3 times a week for an hour a day, and I would be fine. But thanks to the medications I'm on, COVID-19, I'm back to square one in a sense. So,
What you should do is I don't know if you have any, but if you have any duffel bags in your closet, just fill it with some heavy stuff and use those duffel bags as weights.
Oh and,
yeah. Get creative.
I can't put too much strain on my body. I'm already heavy as is.
Well, I'm just saying, you could instead of lifting weights, you could make makeshift weights of something that's heavy.
Yeah, use resistance. You're right.
And then that's what most people, and that's what, I don't want to say most because I don't know, but that's what some people did during the pandemic. They couldn't go to the gym. They couldn't go to a gym, so they just used what they had. One guy was flexing his cat. I don't know how much muscle he was building, but
Right.
Um,
Now the gyms
you
are
know,
open to September. Problem though is that they make you wear masks throughout the entire time. So that's stupid on their
that's
part.
ridiculous. Because if you're doing something strenuous like working out, the last thing you want to do is plug up holes where you can where you could bring in oxygen.
They don't think. These companies don't think. They follow everything what the government's telling them to, rather than questioning the government. Now, I admit that I'm on my own services with the government too, like anyone else would, but we pay taxes to the matter. We spend our money to pay for certain items that are on sales tax, excise tax, income tax, so we deserve what we want based upon what we put in. So you don't expect that the government is all high and mighty. They're correlation with what we want from society at large. So
And
that's
the
my
thing is,
perspective.
since we're going to talk about this, I want to show you a video. I'll show it on Twitch too. Let me see. Let me go to Discord first, so I can show it to you.
What way you try to watch with us?
It's gonna be. Oh, hold on. Let me X out of that. It's kind of like a motivational video.
Okay.
This company that made them, I thought they disappeared. They seem to be back, at least with some of their videos. But they talk about, these people who made these videos talk about the same thing I was talking about, like dating, having confidence in yourself, stuff like that.
Okay.
I haven't seen these videos, so I'm just gonna pick one called "Make the Change." 5 minutes 42 seconds. Yeah, so let's just I'll just try this one.
Yeah, sure. I see everything now.
So this one's a quite interesting topic. It's about change, the powerful path to self-fulfillment. A really, really important question that I asked myself when I started my journey was, where does change actually begin? Does it begin with the actions I take? Does it begin with results? Does it begin with other people noticing that I changed, that I got somewhere, that I have results or whatever? And if you want to change, this change begins by the way you communicate with yourself. So by the way we communicate, we create reality. These are 4 phases of changing. Okay, number 1 is I should change. And the really, really sad part about this is 99.9% of people who are living on this planet are being stuck in the first stage. There's literally people who will spend the rest of their life doing nothing more but saying, I should change. And after 80, 90 years, they're dying thinking of, I should have changed. And that's really sad. So how can you overcome that? It starts in communication. It starts in your thoughts. You want to get to the next stage, which is, I can change. Once you realize the fact that change is possible, it will open up a lot more possibilities. Okay? Stage 2, I can change. Now what gets you to the next level? You take action, aka I will change. Okay? So the only thing that you need in order to get from step 2, I can change, to step 3, I will change, is taking action. So you realize you're able to change. Now is the time to get off your lazy ass and take action. Now is the time to go out and pimp. Now is the time to get butthurt, to get rejected. Now is the time to hit the gym. Now is the time
I don't see anymore, James.
Finance.
Huh?
I don't see the video anymore. You gotta reconnect.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Alright, that's much better.
Okay. I'll also back up.
Try to reduce it down to 480p or something. That maybe it'll last longer.
What was that?
Try to reduce the connection down to 480p or something of that matter.
Okay, how do I?
There should be a quality control, a quality connection control.
Oh, stream quality.
Yeah.
Okay. 480p. Okay. I changed it.
Yeah, it doesn't be too perfect.
Okay. I'm gonna try again. I thought this was like the bad video. This was the long video, but it started to go over points that we should talk about. So that's why so we should basically. I thought this was the long video, but it seems like it's at least gonna touch on part of what we were talking about before we started the stream.
Time to get off your lazy ass and take action. Now is the time to go out and pimp. Now is the time to get butthurt, to get rejected. Now is the time to hit the gym. Now is the time to read everything about finance. Okay? Take action. I will change. Feels good, sounds good, huh? I will change. It's not like, well, I should change at some point. No, it's like, I will change. And the cool thing is, it feels good, feels awesome, taking action. And the last thing, we actually write is, I am change. And that's literally one of the best feelings in the world. Back in the days, fucking thousands of years ago, we were not taught to be passive. We were taught to be active, to go on hunt, to get food, to survive. We're literally one of the first generations that is being taught how to be passive and how to cope with shit. That's like our default state for humanity is, I mean, I guess because we're having all this luxus and like all these, you know, we don't have to hunt for our food. We can pretty much tell that if we go outside, there's no fucking tiger killing us. So we have all the security, and I think that's why we're so passive. That's why we're brought up waiting for changes. Fuck your passivity. Fuck it. In order to change, you have to be active. You will never bring change if you're passive. And that's what literally everyone does. We're all waiting for change. We're like sitting there like, maybe someone comes and talks and helps me. Instead, you have to be active in order to change. It's not over until you win. Stop being passive. It's not over until you win. It doesn't work? What will fix it? Taking action. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's possible. That's all you need. And the crazy thing is, like I mentioned earlier, most of us will keep waiting for changes and we're gonna die. And most of you guys, that's the truth, okay? That's the very uncomfortable truth. Most of you guys will come home and will not change. You'll come home with all the knowledge today, maybe some motivation, but you will not change because in your headspace, you're thinking, well, change will come upon myself. But the only thing that will bring change upon yourself is you yourself, okay? By taking action. You can't wait for change. You have to induce the change yourself. You can show you the right path or the right door you can walk through, but you have to be on that path yourself with your fucking feet. You have to walk through that door yourself. The only one who brings change upon yourself is you, no one else. And yes, it feels uncomfortable, and yes, you will have a lot of setbacks and a lot of rejections that it will hurt. But if you endure that pain, you can make it. And it will feel awesome. Let me tell you that. It feels fucking awesome. What do you want? It's absolutely that key to happiness, the key to an amazing life full of adventures, of fulfilling your dreams is what do you want? It's not over until I win.
Okay, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so basically, let me stop the thing on Discord because. Alright, so basically, what that, we were talking about, you know, success or lack of success with goals that we both had, you know. But the thing is, you can't let a simple setback be simple rejection be the end of the world.
Of course not.
Look at me with telemarketing. There were times in Sloman's when I was working part time, I'd make over 400 phone calls a night. The most deals I ever got in one shift was 5. That means I was getting over 400 rejections a night, or 400 people just not answering the phone. You know, either over 400 phone calls were still rejections, or people not answering the phone. And the thing is, you know, I had to keep going until I got that one yes, or until my time, until the time limit ran out, that my shift ran out. And the thing is, I was one of the, I don't want to say one of the best. Well, actually, no, they had a purge. I was kept, so I was one of the best at that job at the headquarters. And the thing is, you know, you still get a lot more rejection, but you just have to take it, and you can't let it bother you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring up a story. Me and T Dubs, it was like 2012 or 2013. We were in Rockville Center. We were heading home for the night. We both hadn't picked up. I think this was 2012 because he hadn't started dating the woman that's his wife now.
Yes.
We were both heading home, and we passed by these two girls that were they were going like towards the bars. We were walking away from the bars. So I figured, you know what, this isn't gonna work, so I'll try it anyway. And I go, "Hello, ladies," almost kind of like how Val Venus would say it.
Yes.
And are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. Val Venus, I heard.
Okay, so I go, "Hello, ladies," and the thing is, both ladies actually responded like, "Hey." So I'm thinking to myself, "Oh wow, you know, maybe this could work." So I introduced myself, you know, and said, one of them, I'm just like, "So what are your plans for tonight?" They're like, "Oh, we're going to beach house." One of them said it was her birthday. I'm like, "Oh, happy birthday." I'm like, "I got a great idea. Since it's your birthday, why don't we all get drinks together? First round's on me." They turned me down, and I'm like, "All right." So
wow.
They turned me down.
Free drinks for your birthday. The fuck is wrong with you?
They turned me down, and I'm like, "All right, ladies, maybe some other time. You know, maybe we'll be fortunate enough to meet again in Rockville Center some night." And I'm like, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, maybe." And I'm like, "Have a good night, ladies." Me and my friend walked off. When me and my friend turned the corner, he starts elbowing me like, "Good job." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Dude, everything you possibly could have done right, you did." And he's like, "There's nothing else you could have done that would have changed, you know, their answer." And it's just, and you just gotta take that chance. There's been times where I wanted to talk to girls on the bus, I'd say something and they wouldn't even acknowledge me. But you got to take those chances.
And I did plenty of times, James. Don't get me wrong. I will continue talking to people no matter what. But guys, girls, especially the girls, because the relationships, you know, they pursue a relationship with. But, you know, it's just that in today's world, we live in a world of lots of social media and lots of multiple attention divisions, like division of attention spans. So, you know, trying to get a girl to talk to you is kind of like, you know, talking to a wall after a while, you know, in today's world. Of course, you know, we're on the podcast, we're broadcasting to people who are hearing us, but, you know, it's all about people who want to take that chance to get to know you. You know, that's all, you know.
Right. There was also, I also did this experiment at Sloman's the 2 years I was working there. I don't know why. It's just for like us. One thing you gotta do is like you gotta have confidence. If girls can tell when you're confident about yourself and when you're not. And it just, I used to walk into Sloman's with all this confidence, even before I was getting a lot of leads and being near the top of the board and stuff. I just walked in there like not, I don't want to say cocky or conceited, but you know, I knew my worth basically, and somehow girls could pick up on that, and they like that because they don't want to be with a man who's gonna cave to them. They want to be with a man who they can count on if they need someone. If they need someone.
Right.
There was one. I'm trying to remember an example. I really don't have a specific one other than Sloman's. But okay, my friend who basically had no confidence in himself, he gave off the image that he was like that he was desperate. What I'm saying is, like, me, him, and this one woman that we worked with that was attractive. Like, one time we were talking about Halloween costumes because they wouldn't allow us to wear costumes during our shift the night before Halloween because Halloween fell on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But they were going to have a Halloween costume contest Friday night, the night before Halloween, so we were allowed to wear costumes.
Okay.
And so I was discussing costumes. I'm like, yeah, I got the Jason mask, Voorhees mask. I got the fake machete, so I'm probably gonna come as Jason Voorhees. That was my costume.
Okay.
And the woman who was like a big fan of horror movies, just like me, who like zombie flicks and everything, she was probably gonna come like. She said that she would come like as like basically like a female zombie. And I'm like that sounds cool. And the guy that was kind of desperate was like, yeah, I'll do that too. I'll be a zombie. It's like, dude, you're doing it to follow her. That just reeks of desperation.
Even I know about that matter. I would never do that.
She gave up another costume idea that she might do, and he's like, yeah, maybe I'll do that too. It's like, and it's just like, do you have an original idea? At least you're not doing that. And she did. Actually, we did. She ended up winning the costume contest. She came, like she had like the makeup to look like she was dead, and then like she was really pregnant, so she had like a fake baby like sticking through the stomach of her shirt. So it was like an undead pregnant, and like it looked like something that could be in a horror movie. And my friend who was desperate ended up dressing like a pimp.
A pimp? Oh my god! Are you serious?
Yes, he had the hat with the feather in it. He dressed like a pimp. That was his costume. So at least he did get his own idea for a Halloween costume, and she ended up winning the contest also.
Oh, nice.
But I just I walked in. I walked in at Sloman's. They had the door where someone from the office had to buzz you in if you didn't have an ID, and only the managers and people further up had IDs. Someone would have to buzz you in from the office, meaning telemarketers couldn't get in unless they were buzzed in. Right. So I get there, I got my Jason mask on, I got the machete on my shoulder, holding it with one hand, and I pressed the button to be buzzed in. I'm waiting for the light to turn green, meaning the door was unlocked. No one unlocks the door. So I lift my mask and I raise my eyebrow to the camera like, really? And then the door opens. Basically, my manager didn't want to open the door when someone wearing a Jason mask was at the door.
All right.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, it's just my streaming program. I don't know if my internet's.
No, you're coming in loud and clear. You're coming in loud and clear,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I'm just because I'm not responsive as you want me to be. Sorry about that.
It's okay. But the thing is, at the at the same time, if back to dating women, video, it's what you should do is like learn how the people who don't look like Tom Cruise who can still pick up women.
Of
Learn what they
course.
do. Come up with your own pickup lines, not any of the awful ones that we've discussed on here, but come up with lines or come up with a routine like I had with those ladies that I just winged it, and try that.
Mm.
There's people that can teach you how to pick up women online.
Oh, I'm
And
not
you
picking
can
up
do
women online anymore. I'm not doing that
I'm,
anymore. I'm not
I'm
going
not
into
talk,
that.
I'm not talking about online dating. I'm talking about watching videos from people who know how to pick up women.
Oh, I'm not into that shit. Come on now. You're telling me in today's world with the Me Too movement, you gotta be able to pick up a woman knowing that at any given moment she could cause a scene. And I'm not trying to say that I have no confidence to talk to a woman to begin with and start or taking a risk, whatever. But the fact that of the matter is that there's a movement out there that from women saying that they want to be treated as equals. So, over the years, people said to me, "Oh, Charles, why are you not married? You're a good guy." This is from women. And I was like, "You tell me. I can't make women like me. You can't make a woman like you because of some pickup line or whatever. Do you know how many women go through that situation alone? Of these guys used to pick up artist words or these pickup lines, whatever you want to call it. Like, come on, the word had been there, done that. And with the Me Too movement, it started to make things more complex than ever. And
First
based
off,
upon what Aaron Clary said in one of his excerpts he put on YouTube the other day, he explained that there's been more and more division between the men and women now more than ever. So whatever I did back 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even last year, hell, even the other month or whatever it was the other year, with that lady I mentioned earlier in this conversation. We have different expectations that are not met on an equal footing. We're not thinking of realism. We're not thinking of like what we want from the other woman or the other man. We're not thinking of like on the level playing field. It's all about looks for the woman and about money for the men. If you don't have none of that stuff as a man, no money, no power, no respect, you're not going to get that woman. You're not going to get that woman no matter how many times you try to pick up a woman with a pickup line, whatever. So that's what I'm pursuing. I'm pursuing money. And if I really want to, I can be an asshole after a while. If I ever had that kind of money in my pocket. Excuse my language, people. That's what's going on in society now. If you want to get the woman, you have to be an asshole. And then,
yeah.
and that sounds very negative what I'm saying for the last 5 minutes, but what can I say? This is based on experience. I'm tired of come up to a woman and I'm not getting nothing, and it's like, what's going on here? I'm not the best looking guy in the world, obviously, and I'm definitely not rich. But if I can't get a overweight woman who's in her 40s, living with parents, act like a little kid, who the fuck's fault is that? Come on now. You're telling me I can't get with an overweight woman who's white, who lives with parents, live in the same city as me. I live with my family, my aunt, and you're telling me I can't get with a woman with her own money, knowing that I don't need her money, I don't need her status? That's what the people don't understand. I don't care what comes to women. I don't care about women with their status in education or with their money. It's about looks and also what you contribute in a everyday setting. Can you cook? Can you clean? Can you mop the floors or whatever? Can you do all that shit? Can you also care for my children if we ever have children? And if with my business in mind, whether it's my YouTube gaming career or my inventions that I want to invent, that I'll be the provider. That type of stuff. But in today's world, it's not about that. It's all about me, me, me. So I wouldn't say I've given up, but I'm just not keeping it. I'm not keeping it as so positive, it's so delusional at the same time with the matter at hand.
Okay, but the thing is, see, about the Me Too movement, if it's not dead, it's on life support, first off. Especially when that woman tried to Me Too Tony Robbins. That was that was like the biggest blow to the credibility of the Me Too movement, in my opinion.
Right.
But the thing is, also one of the guys that picks up women or knows how to pick up women, like he runs a course where he actually teaches people, and then he takes them out into the club, and they're supposed to try to pick up a woman. So like the guy goes to a few girls, and they're like, "Oh, hey," is like you, and he's he makes the introduction. And the woman would be like, "Are you here by yourself?" And he's like, "No, I'm here with a few friends." And like he pointed out one friend, like one of his students, that was as a friend, and the woman said to him, "Quote, what is wrong with him?" End quote. Because he was like walking with his head down. He had it on his face that he had like no confidence. That's what I'm saying is you just gotta walk with your head up. Just think positive thoughts that if you make an introduction to this woman, don't be worried about the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement, like I said, it's lost all credibility as far as I'm concerned. But just when you see a woman that you like, that you think is attractive, go over to her. Think that she's gonna want a conversation.
I can't think like that.
She'll
hold on a second, James.
She'll start talking to you, and just go up there and be like, "Hello, ma'am." Say you have more. "Hello, ma'am. May I buy you a drink? What are you having? I'll join you." And something like that.
I can't think like that anymore.
Or just be like, "Hello," or just be like, "Hey, ladies, how's things going tonight?" Like you're looking for, like you're a social butterfly looking for someone to be social with. And the thing is, if you do that, and when you have it in your head that, oh, these girls are going to turn me down, these girls are going to hate me.
Oh, it's not about, you misunderstand me, James. You misunderstand me. It's about gaining the power and respect first, and then make your move, and then make dominance, and then make yourself be known as the biggest asshole on the planet. It's to make sure people have to know that not to screw you over, not to make fun of you, not to ridicule you, not to make fun of you, whatever situation is. And I'm not gonna deal with the same usual bullshit with the woman in my life that likes to think that way. This is ridiculous, James. You don't know what's going on in this dating world. This is ridiculous that these overweight women who are like land whales to most of these guys, and they expect that guys like me to be like a Tom Cruise or Jay-Z or whatever. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? I'm not going to be with you at all.
Well, why are you going after land whales?
I thought they're the easiest to go after because my confidence level is not as questionable now. Because let's face it.
The thing is, they were around for such a long time that they became land whales. Don't you think they became bitter in all that time that they had the time to beat 500 pounds? You don't think they also became bitter as they became bigger?
Look at me. I'm going through the same thing too. I will admit I gained so much weight over the last year. Gained like 20 pounds.
But the thing is, the difference with you is you didn't become a bitter person who hates life.
Okay.
Or a bitter person who hates everyone. I'm saying go, maybe, okay, so, maybe obviously you don't want some chick who's anorexic, who like one of my ex-girlfriends, but, maybe, but just, who says you have to go after these land whales? Why not go after normal, beautiful women and just see what happens? Because
I did that too. I tried all kinds of women.
They look good for them. That means they'll probably be in a better attitude than these people who usually never get any offers anyway.
I tried all kinds of women, James. Rich, poor, big, tall, fat, skinny, black, white. I'm not saying I know everything, and I'm not saying I will never give up. But I want to pursue a matter of gaining status first, and then I will then move on to dating something of a higher caliber to my liking. Because I like a woman who has some kind of personality, who is willing to be submissive to me. And most of these women in today's world, I guess I cannot find that in the Western world. So when I get my riches, when I get my money, I'm moving out of the country for a while and see what happens after that. Pursue a bigger matter in expanding my business or my inventions that I want to put out there to other companies. In the meantime, meet new women outside of the United States, if not the Western world. I mean, go to Brazil, maybe go to Japan, or perhaps Russia, even. But in the meantime, I'm just going to just hold back and just I'm sorry, guys. This is a bad moment to talk about this matter here because it's Mother's Day and all. But as
all right,
you can tell,
let me bring up a situation. Let me bring up a person that basically is gonna do a lot of damage to your point. Look at Tom McDonald. Before he got big with his music, he was sleeping on friends' couches. He still has. And look at the tattoos he's got all over his face. Yet he still has a girlfriend. You don't have to build status to find a woman. That's not going to work. You're just going to waste a lot of time.
Really.
Look at Tom McDonald. You've seen what he looks like. You've seen all the tattoos on his face, and there was a song, I forget which one it was. I can look it up if you want. One of his friends was in it. That basically the guy that was in the song with him was basically Tom McDonald was sleeping on his couch when Tom was poor, and Tom's got a girlfriend because she was also in the video.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is status doesn't really mean anything unless you need that to rise your confidence. Me, I'm confident with who I am right now, trying to build something as a writer, trying to build something as a gamer on not YouTube, but BitChute and what's left of Daily Motion, and Twitch.
The saying goes. But you know how the saying goes that the nice guys finish last. So as a person who was come across a nice person, to most of these ladies, they're not into guys like me until I have status of my own with money in my pocket.
But the thing is, see, that's not going to work because once you got money in your pocket, then they're just after your money.
Exactly.
To you.
Exactly. In exchange for that, I want sex. In exchange for that, I want you to be my wife. In exchange for that, I want you to clean my house, do my cooking, serve my friends and family members whenever possible. That's it.
Serve your family members and friends. What are you looking for, maid?
At this rate, James, I don't see no personality in most of these women who are acting the way they're acting to me.
You know what? What also could work is a change of scenery. Maybe I wouldn't say you have to go out of the country, but maybe to a different state. New York is pretty much miserable anyway. Go to a state that's not becoming a huge slum, like New York is becoming. Maybe you'll have better luck somewhere else.
Yeah, but I don't have that kind of money in my pocket.
Right, you do. So you can't try somewhere else right now. But what I'm saying is, just because you're not finding, I'm starting to think maybe just the reason you're not having any success in New York is because the women that you're trying, they all seem to be the same one. They just look different.
Of course,
they all seem to have the
They're
same
hood rats.
personality for no reason.
They're hood rats. To what the average man will say in his neighborhood, they'll say they're hood rats. Because I live in the hood. And technically speaking, I live in Jamaica, Queens, New York, people. And at one point, there was a lot of high crime in this neighborhood. And I'm not one of these average black people in this neighborhood. And there's no fucking way. I'm above average in most of these people based on my education, my status as a man. Oh, sure, I may not have the sex, I may not have the drugs, I may not have the money most of the drug dealers do in this neighborhood, because I'm not a drug dealer. That's the thing, though. If you want to get a girl in this neighborhood, you have to be a drug dealer or some sort of high status type of guy. And that's what's going on with most of these females today. Where I live, it's like they think that they know what they can just get any man at any given time, and they're in their 30s and 40s. And I'm like, you're not even close, lady. Like, get the fuck out of here. So one day I will eventually move out and pursue something other than here in New York City. But until that time happens, I gotta just keep my head low and just avoid conflict with most of these people. Because let's face it, they're not into having a higher status. They're not into having a better quality of life. It's all about drugs and sex and rock and roll. Well, not rock and roll, but drugs, sex, and rap.
It's not the 1970s.
It's drugs, sex, and rap. Sorry.
Drug, sex, rock and roll. Needle store lounge?
You say you want a revolution. Well, we all want to change the world.
Drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
Well, I thank you, Triple J, for advising me and encouraging me to go back out there to the dating world. But right now, the dating world, I don't see. After that moments of the last few times with the woman I was with, whether it was for temporary online or in person, most of these women are not of good quality, and they know they're not of good quality because of the fact that...
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, you're going after bargain bin women, which there's a reason they're in the bargain bin to begin with.
And of course, there's one lady who was skinny, she was, if she wore a dress or whatever, she would look good. But she's more of that has that hood rat tomboy mentality where, that's what I grew up with. I'm not saying I love it, being one of those type of women, but it's like I have no choice in the matter for the time being. So it sounds like I'm being very selfish, but, what can I say?
Yeah, but the thing is, also, I'm starting to think maybe just add New York City, you would have a better luck. Because when I was at Sloman's, we worked in, what was that city? We worked in Hicksville. And a lot of people from Baldwin came, a lot of people from all over Nassau County came. And I remember one time I got to work later than I normally would. I normally be there 30 minutes before my shift. I got there 10 minutes before my shift, or 15 minutes. So I was late for me, but I wasn't late to work. And one of the girls that I worked with, she was, I think, about maybe 10 years young. Well, maybe not 10 years younger, but she was close to that age. And she just came up to me. She's like, "James, you're here. I was starting to get worried. I thought you weren't coming." I'm like, and it's just I'm thinking of these types of girls that don't, the girls you're describing don't sound like any of the girls that I would give a second glance to.
Because I don't believe in that looks can be deceiving situation. Because if I go after a hot girl, I don't know how much emotional baggage she has or how much drama she'll bring in my life. So I figured, why not go towards the lesser attractive, the more of the personality approach, or at least I thought she has personality. But, obviously, in that case, it depends on the person and the place I go to throughout the city. Because obviously, let's face it, New York City is a multicultural facet of many different people throughout the city. If you want to go out to Little Italy, you'll find an Italian woman. If you go to Jamaica Queens, you'll find a lot of hood, in the hood type of urban women who are very aggressive and very domineering. If you want to go into, let's say, Mill Basement, you'll find feminine women somehow, some way. Because I met a woman through the internet who was from Mill Basement, Brooklyn. So, she wasn't into me, but we eventually stopped talking to each other.
What happened with that woman?
We stopped talking to each other. I usually did start the conversation. She was too shy for me. She didn't want to go out really to meet up in person, and she wasn't into me. Even though I told her it takes time for people to get to know each other. You know, I did tell her that, and I tell every woman about that matter. Like, if women are listening to me right now, you're not gonna find that love at first sight, especially if you're over a certain age. Maybe when you're like 18 years old, you'll have that love at first sight feeling, but that's about it. After 25, 21 years old, especially, good luck trying to get that. You have to actually practice and also interact and socialize with your opposite sex. You cannot expect the instantaneous feeling you once had when you were a kid. There's just no way.
Well, also, when you some people just another problem is some people just don't grow up, even though they get older.
Tell me about it, especially in today's world with all the Pokemon and fucking Xbox, and I'm okay with that. Hey, look at me, I'm still playing Xbox gaming. I still have my Pokemon collection, somewhere in my room. But you don't see me playing it all the time. You know what I'm saying? I got other shit to do.
But the thing is, it's the whole. So I think it's just maybe the women in New York City. Oh, of course, keep in mind the pandemic can't be easy on them either. You also have to keep that in mind. So it'll probably be easier once the pandemic is over for Democratic states as well.
Let's hope they'll be over by next year.
Hopefully. Don't hold your breath, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, I gotta move the fuck out.
But, maybe, don't just because, you gotta look at it this way. If a girl is, still in her 30s and she looks attractive, but she's still alone, you gotta wonder why. Would I still try it? Yeah, I'd still go over there and make an introduction and see what happened.
What if she was wearing like a sweats and have like some sort of Bloods and Crip thing going on with her, like a tomboyish type of thing with the gangs and stuff?
If she looked like she was a female gangbanger, I'd stay away.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to date someone who's in a gang.
Well, she's not in a gang, but she acts like she wants to be in a gang. That's what I met the other year back in 2016. I forgot her name, but she stopped because we were like boyfriend and girlfriend for a day, and that's what she. But she didn't want to talk to me after I got out of the hospital. I was like, "What's going on here? Like, why are you not talking to me?" He's like, "Call me again or text me again. I'll call the police." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Good luck with that. Good luck with that if you didn't do anything incriminating. But secondly, fine. If that girl wants to be left alone, let her be a cunt.
I mean,
think about it this way. Did you hear about the woman? Another reason Me Too is a big scam. The wrestler Enzo Amore, how he was set up by a woman that he was sleeping with. He basically slept with her. He basically banged a woman that wanted to have sex with him. The next day, she's crying rape.
Oh man!
And it turned out that after the police did their investigations, that they had discovered the woman was lying because she changed her story like 2 or 3 different times, and then they went through her phone records. And the night of the so-called rape, she was texting her friend, "I'm about to have sex with a WWE wrestler." She was texting her friends that. When the police found those texts, they're like, "Yeah, this is all bullshit."
And who's the wrestler again? I'm sorry.
Enzo Amore.
Oh, that short guy?
Yeah.
Well, he is popular back there at this time, so.
He was, but when this whole case happened, before the investigation was done, WWE jumped the gun and fired him.
That's what I hate about this every single time I meet with a woman, because 20 years from now, if I ever run for president of the United States, like fucking like 10 women will come up to me, not me personally, but the public, be like, oh, he raped me this. He didn't want to take me out on a date. He didn't want to give me no food. I'm like, what? You didn't want my food. I told you I could have the food because I'm asking if you want the food or not. You know, it's the same lady that was dressed as a hoodlum, whatever. So, you know.
But it's just like Tony Robbins. I'll bring him up before we stop for tonight. I'm probably not broadcasting to anyone because my internet. I don't know if I have to unplug and plug the modem back in or something. But Tony Robbins, one time he was having one of his live events with people in attendance, and like Tony Robbins called a woman up on stage. I forgot why he called her up on stage, but Tony Robbins has this exercise where he makes a fist and he plants it, and you're supposed to put your hand down.
Okay.
Your hand up, and he puts his hand into your palm, and like he pushes, and you're supposed to push back for resistance. She didn't do that. She just stepped all the way back as Tony Robbins pushed her hand, and then she started saying like, "Oh, I felt threatened up there. I felt powerless." He was using his stature as a man, and I was reading this news story. I'm like, is she really going this route on Tony Robbins, a guy who's helped people?
And I think it's like about how people watching this on stage, you know?
Yeah, exactly. There was like 1,000 people in the room.
Pathetic.
1,000 people in that room, and you're trying to claim that you felt threatened.
1,000 people and kisses for you, and I don't do. I just don't want to stop. Never too much, never too much, never too much. That's Luther Vandross.
This is. I think this is where we're on the podcast, especially since my internet's having. It's weird. I'm just having problems broadcasting. Like I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. So I think we'll just end things here. So this has been the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. Episode 21 will be in 2 weeks on May 22nd. Anything you want to cover before we go?
Oh, I just want to say, James, thanks for it's Mother's Day. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. We should thank our mothers for raising us to be who we are. You know, my mom's not perfect, but she raised me to be a good man. But at the same time, the good man could turn into a bad one because of these past experiences. So it's like, you know, be careful, guys out there who would listen to this, whether it's right now or 20 years from now. You know, be careful out there, because one day a series of events could change you to become the biggest asshole on the planet or the greatest man in the world.
Yep. Okay. So hopefully you'll join us in 2 weeks at 9 p.m. Hopefully my broadcasting will be more stable. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.